Hey everyone, this is Adam with the final video in the Introduction to Cardano series. This video is the first steps of Cardano. So in this video, we're going to go over some wallets, explorers, make a transaction, delegation, create a wallet, obviously first, and then navigate through the ecosystem a bit to show you guys what there is currently available on Cardano. And this video is February 2023, created in February 2023. Before we start, I thought I would just link this video here, which is a video by Lars. I came across it looking at the, oh, that's loud. Hope that wasn't too loud for you guys. I came across it looking at the Cardano stake pool course. Um, it was pretty high level for a stake pool course, I thought. So maybe not really applicable there, but super applicable to us. If I could, I would have put this in the first slide or second slide of the first video in this course as a prerequisite. He talks about blockchain, gives a good high level analogy, like a book in the sky where the ink dries and the transact. So once the ink dries, anything written is final. He talks about consensus, proof of work, proof of stake, Bitcoin, Cardano. So highly recommend. This is a great video, and Lars is really good at explaining things. Um, so he talks about forks, um, the lottery. So like how do you decide who gets to add um, a line to the book in his analogy? Proof of work, proof of stake. So a bunch of good stuff. Okay, so wallets first. These are the main wallets right now that are most widely used. I didn't add Giro here, even though I should have. So Giro wallet as well. We have Eternal, Typhoon, Nami, Flint, Yoroi, Daedalus, Lace. There's a whole bunch of other ones that we'll see when we look at Cardano Cube. But those are the main ones I thought I would add the pictures of. My preference is Eternal. Nami wallet is open source. Daedalus is open source. If you're looking for a light wallet, which is every wallet here except for Daedalus, I recommend either Eternal or Nami or Flint. Honestly, any of them are good. But open source, you would go with Nami. My favorite, Eternal. Daedalus, I would not recommend it until Mithril comes out. It just takes too long to sync, um, and is honestly, it's really nice, but it's just not worth it for now until you can sync quicker, in my opinion. Explorers, we have Cardano Scan, Cardano Explorer, the default IOG Explorer, and then Blockfrost, which is like an API for chain data. Let's look at Cardano Scan really quick. Um, look here. And then also let's actually look at UTXOs again really quick. I know it was explained in the prerequisite videos, and I might have even referenced it earlier in this course, but the gist is that in a UTX, there's two general accounting methods. There's UTXO, and then there's an accounts-based model, then UTXO-based model. Cardano and Bitcoin both use the UTXO-based model, which basically means um, a UTXO is an unspent transaction output. That's what it stands for, unspent transaction output. And transactions consist of inputs, which are unspent transaction outputs, and outputs, which are unspent transaction outputs. It sounds weird at first, but basically the entire input, the entire UTXO is consumed in a transaction, and new ones are created as the output. And then naturally, to even have a UTXO to be an input, it must have once been an output to a previous transaction. So if you want to send, let's say you're Alice and you have 100 data, you want to send 10 to Bob, as in this case right here, you actually have to create a output UTXO for yourself with the difference between what you're inputting and what you're sending an individual, which is different from the accounting model where you can just subtract from your total balance. The nice thing about this is that if you set a minimum amount of ADA per UTXO, you can actually have a finite amount of UTXOs on the blockchain at a given time. So for example, if we have 45 billion ADA and we set the minimum to 1 ADA, minimum ADA in a UTXO to 1 ADA, then we know that the maximum amount of UTXOs we could have at a given time is 45 billion. And so that gives us some cool properties that we could use, but we won't talk about that for now. But we can actually see the reference of the input UTXO where it was an output on the ledger. So here we're in Cardano Scan. We see that we have a 1 UTXO input here of 866 ADA and a bit. And then we have 5 UTXO outputs here. We can actually see this little thing underneath the address. So we have the address here, and then this. What is this? This is the transaction hash of the transaction in which this address got its ADA. So we can see right here. So this transaction hash is referenced in, if we look at actually the sum of these, Where am I going? I'm deep now. Let's come back for a sec. Yeah, so we have here 866 4Y. We click on this, we can actually see the transaction in which it was an output. So here it's this UTXO here. So you can then go back from each input UTXO. You can click on their transaction hash and see where it was an output and go all the way back to the Genesis transaction, theoretically. Take a long time, but you could do that. Okay, the ecosystem, Cardano Cube, first link, here it is. We have a bunch of, it's basically just like I don't even know what you'd call it, just a map of the entire system, the entire Cardano ecosystem right now. We have DEXs, wallets, lending, borrowing, infrastructure, DeFi. I created a Chrome extension called Cardano Lookup. It's available on Brave as well. Basically, it's like one click. You can Control Shift F to open it, or just click on it, and then you can get to the most widely used dApps with one click. So, for example, MintSwap, my favorite DEX. Here it is, one click. Indigo Protocol, one click. So yeah. What else do we got here? We got Pool PM, cool visualizer, made by the Smaug pool, and we can toggle between blocks, staking, transactions. We can search for specific addresses, pools, ADA handles. What are ADA handles? It's just a mechanism for searching addresses without having to type in the whole address. You can reference it by um, their handle. EUTXO.org. This is my favorite visualizer. So it's a cool little emoji-based block visualizer. So you can see the blocks in real time and the transactions that are within them. We have an empty block, Binance. That sucks for Binance. Let's go to the next one and we'll see when the next block gets created in roughly 20 seconds. Pool tool, kind of just for network health related viewing, I guess, in real time. You can see any forks, recent blocks, the different pools, and kind of the average return on stake. So it looks like right now we're roughly between 3.16 and 3.7 for the average return on stake. Let's go back to this. It's going to load again. Interesting. Okay, cool. EcoPool. We have two transactions. This one contained a JPEG store script, Plutus v2. And then we have new block arrived. I'll show it now. So basically, just a cool visualizer. And you can see here the different contents within the block. So pretty cool. I've never actually used this historical data side. Okay. What else we got here? Let's, I think, transact and delegate. Yep. Okay. Transaction and delegate. Basically, we're going to use Eternal, which you can download from the Chrome Web Store as an extension or Brave. We're going to, so we have a wallet here called Example Wallet. It contains 5.7 ADA, currently delegated to Smaug. We are going to create a new wallet. So example 2, we're going to make the password whatever we make it. We're going to confirm that nobody can see the screen. And here we have the recovery phrase or the seed phrase. Basically, if anyone has this recovery phrase, they can get fully access to your wallet and spend transactions how they see fit. So make sure you write this on a piece of paper, keep it safe. The gist is that you want to have it air gapped, which means that you don't want to store this on a device that is connected to the internet. So basically write it down on a piece of paper and store it somewhere safe. For this video, am going to put it in a notepad because I don't want to write it down. And also we're going to get rid of it. So I wouldn't do this unless we're getting rid of it right after this. So I'll pause it, write down the recovery phrase, and then input it, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I've written down the phrase, and then I've re-inputted it, and I confirm that if I lose this phrase, I will lose access to my wallet. We're going to click receive here in the internal wallet, copy this address, come over to our example wallet, send, paste the address, next. We're going to send 4 ADA. We're going to sign the transaction, and before we confirm signing it, we can actually see here the transaction preview. And this is nice because of um, the Cardano feature, which is not available on many blockchains, which is that you can actually guarantee that the transaction is valid before submitting the transaction. Um, and so you know you're not going to end up with losing the fee and not having the transaction get on chain um, simply because of the nature of Cardano. There's a word for this. Let me think of what it's called really quick. Um, Starts with a D, I think. I can't think of it right now. If I think of it, I'll say it. But nonetheless, let's sign the transaction. We can see that we have 5.6 ADA input for output and 1.5 as the change, and then the fee. We're going to sign this. We're going to wait, and it'll get on chain roughly within 20 seconds. There's a block every 20 seconds. What is the word? Let's think. Deterministic. Ah, there we go. Deterministic. The chain is deterministic, so we know that we can know that the transaction is valid beforehand. That's pretty much it. Deterministic. All right. Let me refresh this thing. Normally there's a refresh button up here, but be interesting. Okay, it's on chain. We can actually see this transaction now. If we click here, we bring us to Cardano scan. We can see that it is pending assurance, although we know it is on chain. Interesting. Maybe just a little behind Cardano scan. Okay, so there we go. And now that we have received here, we have 4 ADA in this wallet. What we're going to do is we're going to go staking. We need to create, so let's go down into the wallet that we've already done this before. We can see here we have a registration, stake key registration certificate, and then a delegation certificate. So when you register a stake key, you need to deposit a 2 ADA collateral, although I hesitate to use that word because collateral means something else in ADA, but you deposit 2 ADA, and then when you deregister your stake key, you can get your 2 ADA back. That is like pretty much the only thing like that on ADA, on Cardano rather, which is kind of interesting, and I don't know really what I think about it. I think it's probably not that necessary, but it is what it is. And then we have a stake pool delegation, which basically points your stake address at the pool in which you want to stake to. I believe that is my stake address. Yep. Okay, so let's do this here. Let's go staking. Let us choose this ranking. I'm not really sure how the ranking's done. Maybe it's just Eternal that does it, or if there's some. I'm assuming it's just Eternal. Okay, let's choose a high pledge based pool. We care a lot about pledge these days. So let us find a, can we filter? No, let's just scroll. Maybe there's someone more than 3 mil. 3 mil would be a lot. Let's just do 3 mil. 3 mil, 50% saturated. Let's do this one. We will sign this transaction. Basically, we can see right here, we are registering the stake key, our stake key, and then we are delegating our stake key within the same transaction to this pool, which is the pool. Which pool is this? ADAFR. Cool. Sign, pending, and so that'll pend. So basically, what we've done now is we created a wallet, we've sent a transaction from one wallet, we've received it in another wallet, we've created our stake key, there it's on chain, we've registered our stake key, and then we've delegated to a certain pool. And now if we come to the staking tab, we can actually see the pool that we're delegated to. And then we can see the epoch in which we will be delegating. And there's a 2 epoch delay in Cardano, which allows you to, I guess, switch pools if there's any malicious stake pool operators, which is nice. So yeah, that's the gist of this video. Maybe we can just recap what we did. We referenced this video by Lars, which is really, really good. Highly recommend. We looked at some of the wallets. my favorite being Eternal, and we use Eternal, NAMI being open sourced, Daedalus being the full node wallet. Explorers, we looked at Cardano Scan. The other explorers pretty much do the same thing. You can try them all out. Cardano Explorer is pretty good. See Explorer. The ecosystem, we have Cardano Cube, Cardano Lookup, which is made by me, Pool PI made by Smaug, utxo.org, Visualizer, real time, really, really fun to look at, and then Pool Tool for network health statistics. Then we did a transaction, delegated, registered a stake key, then delegated, and that's pretty much it. If we wanted to, we could. I don't think we have the ADA to do it now, but we could go to MinSwap and do a swap. Maybe we can look at this. Basically, it's a DEX on Cardano. We can see all the different pairs, so ADA versus a native token, and then we can sort these things by volume. Do volume 7 days. We can see that AGIX and NTX have very high volume. We'll click on min, we'll click swap, and then theoretically we could um, swap some ADA for any token we wish, min in this case, and then click swap, sign the transaction, and away we'd go. So that's the gist of this video. Hopefully that was a good introduction to the ecosystem. And that's the end of the course. I may add a video at the end of this, maybe one more small video, hopefully like 2 minutes long. I'm going to look over all the videos now, see if anything I missed, and maybe just add a disclaimer at the end. Um, we'll see. If not, thanks for taking the course and look forward to more videos to come on more technical topics and maybe a advanced Cardano course within the next few months. So yeah, thank you. This has been Cardano at Queen's University. Have a good day. Hey everyone. So two things I want to say at the end of this video. The first one's clarification on the UTXO diagram here. Nothing I said was wrong in what I said, but I also wanted to add the fact that the reason UTXO is nice is because we have local state when we use it. So basically what that means is the reason deterministic transactions exist is because we know that the state we're concerned with when making a transaction is local, meaning the UTXO that we have and the UTXOs that will be generated and the input UTXOs are understood before you make the transaction, so they're independent of the chain. You can locally be sure of certain things. Whereas like in accounts-based model chains, you have global state. So when you submit a transaction to the chain, you're not sure if another transaction is being used and if the amount of value you have within your account may be different when the transaction is actually being processed than when you submitted it. And that could just because you have another transaction occurring that has not been processed before it. So say you make a transaction for 100 X currency, and then you make another one for 100 and you submit them both pretty much at the same time. That first one might go through, and then the second one, you actually have 0x currency left in your account. So the second transaction is going to be is not going to go through. Whereas the value in your UTXO is going to be fully consumed. So if you have it, then the you know that you're going to be it hasn't been consumed yet, basically. And you can be sure that in your wallet beforehand. Um, Another thing I wanted to say is in the course introduction, I was talking about adding Plutus and Marlowe information to this course. I think it's probably not too important. I've mentioned that they're smart contracts languages, which basically just means you can develop um, you can develop contracts, financial contracts with those languages and deploy them on chain so that they can be interacted with in transactions. Um, Plutus is more of a low level, whereas Marlowe is more of high level. And the reason I'm choosing not to go into depth in them is there's already a lot of material out there. Plus, I'm betting that, like I said earlier in the course, that they're not going to be as prominent as other more modern languages like a Go-based or JavaScript-based or Python-based smart contract language for Cardano, which exists now effectively, and they're only getting better. A Rust-based smart contract language. So I just don't think it's valuable for anyone to actually learn them right now unless they're trying to develop smart contracts right now. And even then, I would still um, be wary on developing in those languages at the moment, just because you may want to choose more modern languages just for ease of development. Plus, they're only getting better. Let me think. What else was I going to say about the UTXO? I think that's it. local state versus global state. And then since you can have multiple you can have so many UTXOs on an account that you could have simultaneous transactions. So local state and UTXO based models allow for parallelism, but it is more um, unnatural in how you would think of doing transactions. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on optimizing UTXO selection and things like that. So yeah, um, that'll be the end of this course for now. If I think of anything later, I may add on a video, but I would say this is a decent introduction to Cardano. I highly, highly recommend going back over the slides, which will be in the descriptions of the videos, and just look at the links that I've put throughout the videos. I know in the first video I mentioned a couple prerequisites. I highly recommend those. There's a Cardano link by Lars that I mentioned. I don't know if it was in this video or a previous video. Highly recommend that as well. Um, there's just so much information out there, and it's really important to try to gather as much as possible. I went pretty high level in this course as it is introductory, um, so uh, definitely do your own research as well. So yeah, thanks for watching.